Hi everybody and welcome to our next episode of Power of the Parent, the interviews. I am so excited to be joined by Bridget from Parents in Biz, and I'm going to hand over to her in a second to introduce herself, but a huge thank you for coming on, and I can't wait to hear all about your business and parenting for you in general and all the things it's brought out. So I'll hand over to you to tell us a bit more about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Bridget Daley and I'm the founder of Parents in Biz and the editor of the Parents in Business magazine. I'm a mother of 5, so I've got 5 children and they're aged 27, 25, 22, 16 and 9 years old. They all live at home still. So I've got a full house at the moment. I started off parenting quite young because I had my first child when I was 16 years old, and I've been in business over 10 years, and during that journey of being in business over 10 years my children have gone through all the childhood development stages, so I'm no stranger to juggling and challenges and all the rest of it. I think I've been through just about everything.
Oh my goodness, yeah, like that's. And you look like you're dead serene and like this is just what we do. Is that you? Is that Bridget? We just take everything in our stride and
kind of. I'm more like yeah, you know, because life is full of challenges, isn't it? And parenting itself is just a whole minefield of different kind of challenges, and I just think you build up different kind of skills, and once you've got a supportive network in place as well, that is nice and does make the journey a little bit more easier as well. So yeah, I just take things in my stride. I don't necessarily take things on board sort of thing and make it bog me down too much. I quickly kind of recover.
Yeah, okay. I might need to put you on speed dial. So what's been, and I know it can be hard to pick, but what's been the best thing about parenting so far?
Oh, the best thing is, I'd have to say, is the journey of watching my children grow and develop from baby to adults, and seeing the values and the morals that I've tried my best to install over the years in them, and seeing them hit their goals, hearing their dreams, and you know, yeah, I have to say that is one of the best bits about parenting, is just seeing them go through that whole journey. Well, it's not the complete journey, but from there to where they are now, it's just like, wow. Sometimes I have to literally pinch myself when I'm having discussions with them, because I'm like, these were the babies, like, you know, it seems like the other day, do you know what I mean? Sometimes, and I'm just like, no, they're adults now, do you know what I mean? And I can't dictate to them what they can and can't do. It's just really, really strange, yeah. But yeah, you just adjust.
That really got me when you were talking there. I could feel myself welling up for you. Like, it's a really beautiful way to talk about it, isn't it? And I think that's that as a parent, that's what you want to bring up in your children, isn't it? That
Yes.
independence and having a strong sense of self and what's important to them. And but you're right, kind of taking that step back and realizing that you were a baby 2 minutes ago.
Yes.
What you've grown into. It's hard to pause sometimes, isn't it?
It really is. And sometimes I find I have to force myself to pause and like just appreciate everything around me, appreciate the journey, and appreciate them and appreciate their input, because I learn so much from them as well. As much as I'm teaching them, I'm learning so much from them, and they keep me young as well.
They're doing a cracking job. I might need to borrow your kids or something. Lockdown's aged me by a good 10 or 15 years, and I'm not sure it's ever going to be reversed.
Oh, it has been a challenge, hasn't it?
What's the dynamic in the house been like with like the 9-year-old is obviously going to have homeschooling and stuff?
Yeah. The dynamic in the house has changed drastically, because whereas the older ones were going out to work, you've got Me and my partner work from home anyway. We've got them working from home, homeschooling the 9-year-old. And then the 16-year-old, he was meant to be doing his GCSEs. So he's been left in total limbo. So more than the college he's going to get, well, hopefully get into, they've given him books he can read up on, but he's done a bit of that, but it's mainly on his PlayStation and watching Netflix. So it's just been a whole different shift it's really, I couldn't have anticipated how the setup would have actually been. Like today, I felt like I had to say, I'm interviewing, I want silence. So, yeah, you can imagine, like, everyone's upstairs creeping around.
Oh, bless them. Yeah. I'll bring them all on.
Yeah.
But possibly your 16-year-old is paving the way for a career at PlayStation. I mean,
who knows? Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, I just leave him to it because he was under so much pressure before working towards his GCSEs. And then now it's like all that pressure was just sort of like lifted overnight from him. So I'm just like, just enjoy it. Because once he goes to college to do his A-levels, that's a whole nother pressure tank he's going into. But it's just the uncertainty of not knowing what his grades will be. And do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. But yeah, you just have to wait and see what actually happens. My earpiece keeps dropping out. Yeah.
I can imagine, or I can absolutely feel the calmness radiating out of you. So I'm sure that that's, you know, having a big impact, because like we do, the impact that we have on our kids, whether we like it or not, is there, isn't it? Like the traits that I've got from my parents, and I have step parents as well. So I've had quite a mix of parenting influences on me. Some stuff I've then had to unlearn because it just isn't right for me and my girls. And then other bits I'm like, oh yeah, I need a bit of that. It's strange. I think you just spend so long thinking about being pregnant, or if you're adopting a child, what the route to that is going to have been, and then actually getting the child, however they arrive. And those first few months, I didn't think beyond a day. I was just like in this weird fog for such a long time. Yeah,
very true. Yeah.
Yeah, the reality comes around very quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It really does. It really does.
So aside from lockdown challenges, and if anybody's watching this at a later date, we are into the easing of the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown measures. Is that the right word? I'm not sure. It's been a while. Yeah. So apart from lockdown challenges, what's been the biggest challenge for you as a parent?
Oh, I'd say one of the challenges that I think I not struggled with, but I have found challenging, and I think I still find it quite challenging today, is raising 2 Black boys. Well, one's an adult because he's 27, but then the 16-year-old, especially with what's going on in London streets nowadays with, you know, knife crime and all the rest of it. And he doesn't get it, how I will worry, like, you know, if he goes to school and then he's like half an hour late because he decided to kick football afterwards. I will have 1,000 million scenarios going through my head of what could have possibly happened to him. So I have really found that challenging, and I've had to do a lot of like work on myself to ease that worry, especially when, you know, when things get closer and closer to home and it's like, oh, it happened up the road, and you think, oh my God, and oh, it could have been anybody. And, you know, my brain does go overtime. And I think that's one of the challenges I've had throughout parenting, is learning to let go and trying not to worry about them, especially like the older ones as well. Gonna worry all the time. And I remember when I was like younger and I said, oh, I can't wait for my children to be 18, and then they're off my hands.
Yeah.
And this woman she had 6 children, and she said to me, darling, don't wish for that, because as they get older it gets worse. And I was like, oh my gosh, now when I sit back and I reflect, I'm like, oh my God, she was so right, because the worrying just never stops. Do you know what I mean? You just constantly, like, when they're out, I'm like, oh, I hope they're okay. I hope it's just, yeah, I think that's what I find challenging, because I'm quite a protective mother. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I'm quite protective in terms of what do you call it? Not deadlines to get home. What do you call curfews to get home and that sort of thing, especially when they're under the age of like 18 sort of thing. There's, you know, boundaries and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that for me has always been a constant challenge.
And if you, and I mean, I'm not going to say I totally get that, because I don't totally get that. Being a white woman and I'm raising 2 girls, but you can hear it in your words. And again, like, you've got me going again there. I can't imagine what it's like to be in your shoes and how that feels. And that, of course, you're going to clock watch. I mean, everything that we see, like we white people will see in the news, for example, we have no concept of what that feels like. See that from your perspective as a person of colour, and that's, but even just seeing it is, you can as a parent to parent, you can feel that kind of how horrendous that must feel, like the love that you've got for your kids, and you want them to have that freedom and you know, going and experiencing the world, but you also want to keep them safe, and like the numbers and the facts are just awful. There aren't enough words to articulate it, are there? But it must be such a, I don't like the word balance, because I'm not, I think balance is a bit it's a bit of an abstract concept, and and it can cause burnout in parents, can't it? Well, in everybody. But it must be like that combination that you have to strike between Bridget as parent and then also, like, just as not just as a parent, but then you as a person, and wanting to be able to give that exposure to your kids in the right way. And that's what I think I touched upon it earlier, is the letting go, you know, and just trusting them that everything I've installed in them, they will, you know, take that on board and act it out. So it's a lot of trust and believing in yourself and believing in your children as well. I believe in them, you know. Even, for example, with my eldest son, when he went away backpacking, worrying for like 2 weeks. I think I didn't sleep for 2 weeks, because it was just a constant worry of, oh my God, he's gone backpacking. And then when he went on safari as well, just like, oh my God, say the elephants eat him, say something. You know, my brain was just like, you know, but I've got that sort of mind where I'll just go off on this tangent somewhere else, and I say, come on, Bridget, back down to earth, like, kind of thing. But yeah, it's just trusting and believing that they're going to make the right decisions, and, you know, they're going to know what to do. They can look after themselves, and it's just working on myself to work on letting go. Absolutely. It sounds like you've got a bit of an adventurer in your eldest there.
Yes.
Backpacking, the safari. We've obviously instilled some amazing things in them. Have that sense of like going out and exploring the world is fantastic, isn't it? It is. And what's helped you, that work on yourself and the kind of being able to let go? It's highly emotive, isn't it? It's not just as simple as, okay, today I'm going to tell myself I'm not going to worry as soon as 5:05 comes and they should have been here at 5 or something like that. What are some of the things that have helped you with that?
I think it's a lot of just not talking to myself, literally. I sound crazy saying that, but like a lot of motivational, like I've got motivational apps, I've got you know, faith apps, Word of Today, those sort of apps, and just trusting in the process, and knowing that I have done my best. Do you know what I mean? And it's just reminding myself of those things, and it's mainly a lot of like mind work, me working on myself, you know. And that is like, I would say it's like talking to myself. It's in my mind, you know, just having a conversation in my mind, like, come on, Bridget, be realistic. Is that going to happen? Okay, right, no. you know, and then, yeah, it's that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think that's a really good point, is about trusting in that inner voice, your own inner voice.
Yes.
I work with so many people who are at various stages of their career, but often it is when they're returning to work, and they are needing to unpick this internal narrative that is somebody else's voice, and that voice is often telling them so many untruths, and it's knocking their confidence, it's creating imposter syndrome, because they're giving more weight to somebody else's voice and letting that take over. Whereas what you're working on and what has helped you has been, now I'm going to dial up my voice, and my voice is more important than the other. Yes, you've got to have an awareness of some of the things, of course, that could go wrong, but also you need to be able to live, don't you? And you need to be able to kind of achieve your potential and feel comfortable and all of those things. So that's
very true. Yeah.
Be louder, people, be louder. Your voice be louder. So we started to talk about it before, and you mentioned it, that parenting has brought around so many strengths in you. What are some of your favourites that parenting's brought about?
Well, perseverance, resilience. Being a young mum was not easy. Back then, in the early 90s, I had a lot of people, you know, behind my back, you know, talk about me, you know, a lot of my friends back there, their parents sort of like even looked down on me, like, oh, don't want my daughter hanging around with her, she might get pregnant too, you know, those sort of things, you know. So I did face a lot of, what's the word? I don't know what the right word is, but yeah, I did face a lot of that being a young mum, and it was always, to be quite honest, that sort of thing motivates me. Yeah. It drives me. It's not something, a lot of people will curl up and say, oh, I can't do this kind of thing. I had those moments. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But that drove me to just say, I can do this and I'm going to make a success of myself. Do you know what I mean? And then by the age of 21, I had like 3 children. Yeah. But I've always strived. I've always pushed myself, and the main motivator for that is my children. They are the ones who I've always wanted to better myself for and show them, you know, they can look at me as a really good role model of someone who's persevered. I'm self-motivated, so I'm really like highly motivated, and I'm all highly organized. So there's virtually no chaos, really. The odd time there might be a bit of chaos, but there's virtually no chaos. I think I'm quite we spoke about balance, but I am quite balanced, but I think that's due to being a Libra because of my star sign. So I think that is actually a factor in the way I like things done and the way I am actually operate as a person as well.
I am so sorry that you experienced that, because whatever age you are, becoming a first-time parent, that's like, you want to embrace it, don't you? And I mean, obviously it sounds like you did, and you were like, I'm basically gonna stick 2 fingers up to these people over here, being, you know, Judgy McJudgerson, and you absolutely have owned it. And do you know what I think is actually really, you may not agree, and loads of parents may not agree at this, but the fact that your kids are at home and want to be in your company as well, I think is a testament to your parenting. And you know, the fact that I think it's that speaks volumes. And I think sometimes I've got friends of friends who were very young parents, and they talk about kind of almost growing up with their kids and using that as their uniqueness, and it changed the way that they bonded. And obviously, you know, 16-17 year age gap, but you kind of that time between like 16 and 25 is a major life change, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So many
different things.
It's very much true. Because I'd say and I think that's why I can have certain discussions with the 3 adults, I call them. because they are. I can have certain discussions about things that are going on in the news, political stuff, what have you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like we're all kind of on the same wavelength. You know, they respect me as a parent, but I'm still quite a young parent compared to some of their friends in their circles as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You're going to be closer to their generation in lots of ways, aren't you?
Yes,
so
yes.
That fresher thinking, the things that you've experienced, you can talk about it in such a different way than other parents can.
Yeah, very true. Yeah,
that's the source of frustration, isn't it, for children of whatever age, that you can't. How do you connect to your parents sometimes? And that's fab.
Yeah,
and also moving for a bit.
And also, like, as a parent, from being a young parent, I can see how my parenting has grown.
Yeah.
Almost, especially with the younger two. The older ones say I'm soft on the younger two, but hey ho. I think I have got softer. But I can see how I've grown as a parent because of, like, you know, I'm a qualified counsellor. So when I went through doing the courses and stuff, I learned how to listen and understand and how to, you know, change things in my parenting as well. So I can see that kind of reflected in the younger two more, because that's all they've kind of known me for, sort of thing. So yeah, it's really, parenting is really interesting, and it's really an awesome experience, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is like the most real life experiment that I think any of us will go through. It's crackers, isn't it? And there's just about 3 years between my two, and they're still very little. They're 3 and 6, but the way that I changed as a parent, having had my second, was so different, and I didn't anticipate it, I don't think, because I just thought it's not a huge age gap. So, and I had changed it in some ways. I had a miscarriage between my two girls. So I think the way that I handled pregnancy and labour and all that kind of thing was different. Yeah. But then I kind of thought, well, once she's here, like, it's just going to be really similar, isn't it? And then they're so different in temperament, in interests, in everything, like, so I feel like I've learned to parent again with my second. So and
it's that as well, it's adapting to, for me, it's adapting to the 5 different personalities, you know. What I might say to one of them, the other one would take great offense. It's like, sometimes it's like walking on eggshells, because I could say that to that one and that one was like, oh yeah, no. And then you said it to the other one, it was like, you know, so it's just really, it's adapting to each child's personality. So because they're all different.
I'm one of 4 girls, so, and my mum says exactly the same, that it's you are so different, and there's a big age gap between the two, me and my next sister down, and then there's a big age gap to our next 2 sisters, and it's not quite a generation, but it's not far off. So it is like completely different experiences, different ways of schooling, because I'm guessing what your 27-year-old will have experienced, the school, how he will have experienced the school system will be so different to what your 9 and 16-year-old are.
Yes.
Like, how many GCSEs changed since?
Yes, that's it. And even when, like, because sometimes, like, well, not sometimes, quite a few times, I've actually asked the older ones, like, do you understand the 9-year-olds work?
Yeah.
Can you? And they're like, what are they teaching them? Wow, this is advanced stuff. You know, so you can see, like, through that you can see the changes in how education has changed over the years. Well,
whole new set of skills, isn't it? We'll add adaptability to that list of strengths.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We're so agile. So my final question for you is around parents in the workplace. So my whole reason for setting up Power of the Parent was because I just thought we really needed to, along with, my thoughts were not unique, loads of people have talked about this before me and will continue to afterwards, but just to shake up the narrative about parents in the workplace, and that it's not just that you are, and if people return part-time, for example, part-time doesn't mean part ambitious, and you're not always the parent who might get the nursery phone call or childminder phone call, whatever, or perhaps I remember having conversations about, oh, that person's got a child now, they won't want to do the overnight travel, and I was there thinking, I want a night away, let me be the one that gets it. And I suppose just the clock watching as people were going out, oh, you've got to go early, and I'm like, no, I'm leaving on time. And my child needs collecting from nursery, but loads of other things just seem to feel like a bit of a battle and a struggle, and that you were described as, or parents were often described as, less than because they were a parent now. And I don't believe that to be true at all. I think yes we're tired, and yes, of course, we're going to have to go and pick a child up, because funnily enough, a toddler cannot make their own way home. And yes, they are a dependent, but we all have a reason to go home. We also all have a reason to want to progress and still be ambitious. And you summed it up beautifully about saying, my kids are my reason. They're always why I want to better myself or to succeed, and whatever your definition of success is. So what would your hopes be for parents in the workplace in the future?
Oh, right. I've been out of the workplace for a little while. Well, I've dived in and out, but yeah.
But you've got your business, and
I think it's because we currently help out my sister-in-law with her her oldest, who's started school, and from looking at it from her perspective and talking to her and everything, I just think flexibility. Because I've got this freedom because I work for myself, and then I see how restricted she is, for example, can't necessarily go to all the school events, can't do pick up and drop off, and the things that she misses out on. And then by the time she gets home, or her husband, because he works longer hours, by the time they get home, there's just no quality of family life. And I think lockdown's been good for them, because they've been together and got to spend quality time together, sort of thing. So it's just that flexibility. But what I don't know is how workplaces how they can implement it from different businesses' perspective. But it really is flexibility, because from my perspective, I don't believe weekends is necessarily just enough for family time, because you've got, if they do swimming, if they do football, you've got to go and do all their stuff. Yes, you're spending time with them, but it's still like another kind of school, not school system, but it's still something you're going into. So there is still not that time where you're all at home one day, at home, or you're going out to do a family day sort of thing. So yeah, I just think more flexibility. And I think what lockdown has kind of like proved as well is you've got many mums who are working from home with children, single parents, and they're doing it. They're doing it, and the work's getting done, so it can be done. The flexibility and the adapting to different situations can be done.
Absolutely. I'm talking to a few employers about flexibility, and flexible working, as we know, is not a parenting issue. It's for everybody, isn't it? And that's I think that's in part of the undoing of it, so that it doesn't become parents, you need to go sort this. But I think the fact that parents are still, and single parents in particular, are still delivering, and they're still, hopefully, I mean, we don't know at what cost yet, do we? I'm sure there's some people taking a real battering, but you would hope that given that all these things are still being delivered and they've got the kids at home, imagine what they can be achieving when the schools are properly open,
exactly,
childcare properly open.
This is it.
It's crackers that we're still having this conversation.
Yes.
It's crackers that we're having a lot of conversations right now, but we are, so we have to face into it, don't we, and be like, right, how are we going to champion this, and how do we make sure that everybody uses their voice properly? And like the amount of corporate clients that will come to me, and the person that's talking to me isn't a parent, and they'll be like, I know that I don't get it because I'm not a parent. I'm like, honestly, there are plenty of parents that don't get it and are causing damage to their teams. So it doesn't matter. We've all got a reason to want to live our best life, I guess. It's important, isn't it?
It's true. It really is. And it's even important for, like, you know, people in the workplace who are not parents, like you said as well. It's having that I'll call it harmony, because that's what I call it rather than balance. It's having that it's having that harmony between home and work. So you can, I think it's so important. And I think that's why a lot of parents do end up being self-employed as well, even though that has its challenges as well. But it's just that flexibility. Like with my youngest, I've never missed a play. I get to go on the school trips. I can actually be really, really active, sort of thing. Whereas with the older ones, where I was working when they were younger and going to college at the same time and educating myself, I missed out on a lot. Do you know what I mean? But with her and even the 16-year-old, I haven't really missed out much. I've been an active parent in school events and stuff like that, getting to attend, and, you know, parents evening, not having to pick the latest appointment. Just simple things, sort of thing. So it's a real struggle for parents who are working. It's a struggle, and until employers understand and put things in place, I don't know.
I think the thing around like balance for me, or harmony, I like that word, is it's less about a balance and more about managing an imbalance, so that accept that there are going to be, and a lot of what you've just articulated, there are going to be times in our lives where certain areas need more focus than others. And it's kind of what I will talk to people about. And so that if you're trying to give everything an equal share of your attention, something is going to end up. Definitely. Whereas accepting that at the moment the kids might need a bit more attention than work, or tomorrow work's going to need more attention than the kids, or there's going to be like a baseline, but then you're going to need to dial up on some areas of your life more than others. And that's what I think folds into it all, that's what flexibility is about, isn't it? That there are some times where we need to give attention to a different part of our lives. It's not all about work, and it's not all about being at home with family. And there aren't many parents that I know that want 100% of their time with their kids, but they would like the option, and they would like the choice.
No, it's true. Very, very true. Very true.
Well, I could talk to you all day.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for joining me. And we can, if you can let me know all of your like social links and website, and you can give me a bit more of a rundown of the actual published magazine, because I've seen that you've published your latest edition, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
And I've got all of that in the notes to accompany this episode, so that everybody can come over and get to know you a little bit.
And thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, bye.